putting the DVD down very carefully.
Okay, first of all, it's a Blu-ray. And second of all, what?
Yeah, I'm putting it down very carefully just in case.
Case of what?
I don't know. Like,
just put it down!
Jeez, so angry. Welcome to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, that's Bill, and today we are looking at Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Or just Raiders of the Lost Ark, depending on when you were born.
Oh, okay. I guess there are several versions of this title, or maybe just two.
Just the two.
Okay.
It was originally released as Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then at some point in later releases, it became Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Just for, I guess, consistency's sake.
So, Bill, we're talking about Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So, what do you think of this movie?
I mean, it's awesome. It's Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's the first one. My second favorite of the series, I'd say. The third one's my personal favorite. I
am kind of weirdly unfamiliar with these movies, even though I've seen the whole thing of this movie finally. For the longest time, I've only seen parts of it, but...
That's weird to me.
Yeah, and I've never seen number 2, but I've seen number 3.
2 was the first one I saw. That was the only one my family owned on VHS back in the day. So I saw these in the weirdest order. 2, 3, 1.
Yeah. This movie is... another Steven Spielberg movie, so it's a great movie.
Yep, it's Spielberg-Lucas joint, in fact.
Yeah, watching this movie, it's been a long time since I've seen it. I'll say it's a more violent movie than I remember. Also, it feels kind of old, but like intentionally old.
Well, that was the intention.
Yeah.
Because they were basically paying homage to the old adventure movie serials they grew up with, Lucas in particular.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was kind of like, okay, there's something about this that I'm sure is, paying homage, like you said, to what they were doing, but I don't know the source material of it.
I mean, it's any number of adventure cowboy movies and stuff. I couldn't name any in particular, but if you just look through movie serials, you'll find a lot of adventure things.
Yeah.
There's even movies from the 60s that were there's characters that look suspiciously like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I know that before this movie was made, Spielberg was trying really hard to make a Bond movie.
Oh yeah, I've heard of
this. The Broccolis are we only want British people to make Bond movies.
Yeah.
And George Lucas is just
not you filthy rebels.
And when complaining to George Lucas was like, hey, I got an idea, and I think it's better than Bond. And Indiana Jones.
That's pretty cool. This movie is really great. It's so different than what I remember, and it's a movie that I feel like every scene in this movie has been parodied on so many shows I've seen, that even though I've never seen this completed movie, a lot of things in this movie I'm like, oh, that's where that's from, or oh, that's what that's from.
I mean, the opening sequence alone's been one of the most parodied scenes of all time. The boulder thing, all of it.
Yeah, so many cartoons I've seen
seriously.
That in.
The Simpsons did it.
Yeah.
Because of course they did.
They did everything.
Absolutely.
Where do you want to start talking about this movie? Do we need to say the plot? Indiana Jones is an explorer and is trying to find a treasure.
He's looking specifically for the Ark of the Covenant, which is said to hold the original stone 10 Commandments, but beware their power.
Also, not entirely sure, but I think in biblical times it was sort of like a weapon in a weird way. They would they'd bring it around cities and stuff, and then bad shit would happen to the cities.
Well, it's kind of talked about in this movie too, when some government people are talking to him, what is that stuff? He's like, power, lightning, wrath of God. And in this movie, the Nazis are looking for it for Hitler because, according as they say, the army with the Ark of the Covenant at its head is unstoppable.
Yeah.
So Crazy Man wants to conquer the world with the Ark of the Covenant at his disposal.
I think there was some like real world stuff too with like some Nazis being into the occult stuff.
That is based on some real stuff. There was some interest in like archaeology. Obviously, they didn't find magic stuff in the desert.
It's always
that we know about.
Yeah, that's true.
The truth is out there, and it's locked away.
Yeah, but it kind of reminded me of like Nazis looking for magic. It's like, hey, I've seen that in Hellboy.
Where do you think Hellboy got it?
I know,
I mean,
exactly.
Real life.
Yeah.
But also Indiana Jones.
Exactly. It is kind of funny because the Nazis are, as you would expect, they are cartoonishly evil.
Yep.
In kind of like a funny way sometimes, but also in a like, oh crap, it's kind of scary sometimes.
And then sometimes they start out scary, and then that weird thing he's holding is a coat hanger.
Yeah, that was like the most intense coat hanger I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's like, oh geez. Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is that? Hangs up coat. Oh. Huh.
It's weird. Watching this movie, Indiana Jones doesn't really talk a lot. He kind of is a man of action. You know, that whole beginning sequence, he like barely he doesn't say anything for a while, and then finally I think some guy falls into a trap and he's just like, watch out. Like, and like you don't even see him until like, you know, that iconic shot. You see him from the back leading the guys.
Silhouette.
Yeah. It's a very cool scene.
Yeah.
That temple is kind of like ridiculous. Part of me was thinking, is there precedence for like ancient temples actually having traps, or is that just like a movie thing?
It feels like a movie thing, but maybe there were some. But
yeah,
I think in real life, such booby traps would like decay.
Yeah, because it's like 1,000 years ago. Because I was thinking, like, did anybody in real life find like an Aztec temple and then like step on like a stone and a bunch of spikes came out or something? Or is that just all like from stories?
That just
movies?
Feels like a movie thing. But
yeah,
it could be crazy if it actually happened.
It would be kind of cool if there's any real world equivalent to like, actually, when they found this temple in Egypt, a bunch of snakes came out.
I mean, that could happen, but
yeah, there's a lot of snakes in Egypt.
Doesn't necessarily mean they were put there deliberately.
Yeah,
because it just came through a hole,
or just like a pit of spikes opened up.
I don't know if you even recognized him, but the guy that betrays Indiana Jones for that little statue.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
No, I have no idea.
It's Doc Ock.
What?
Yes.
Like Alfred Molina?
Yes.
Oh my god. Is he's the guy that was leading him, or is he that other guy Belloc?
Not Belloc. The guy who's like, throw me the idol. That's him.
He is unrecognizable.
Well, he's a lot younger and a bit more tan.
Yeah. Wow, that is so crazy.
Actually, I'm curious. His real name is Alfredo. He's half Spanish, half Italian.
Huh. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I actually know Alfredo in real life. He's an awesome dude. But, yeah, it's funny. Indiana Jones, he's a man of action, archaeologist.
Also a teacher.
Yeah, I was going to get to it. I was trying to say, like, how do you say, like, robber slash, like thief of cultural artifacts? Also, like...
Scavenger.
I
don't know. It's a different time.
Man, I can't think of the term for it. I don't know. He's a dashing rogue, I guess.
That's kind of... Yeah, that's an appropriate term for Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And he's a college professor, as you said.
Yep.
And all the girls in the college class are infatuated with him.
There's the one girl that wrote "love you" on her eyes.
Yeah.
And he was just like, okay, that's a little much.
Seems kind of weird, just because I'm like, wait, this movie takes place in the 30s?
Yes.
And I was like, huh. Because, I don't know, you would think it would take place later, but I was like, I guess they had a lot of stuff in the 30s, and I just wasn't realizing how technologically evolved they were in the 30s by then.
I mean, they had cars, they had boats.
Yeah.
German U-boats and all that.
That's true. I guess it's like Nazis right before World War II.
Yes.
Actually, I think technically Europe already started the war at this point, because it said 1938. It's weird. I don't know the exact date, because I was like the main villain in this, or one of the main villains, is this guy Belloc. They say he's French.
Yeah.
And he's helping the Germans, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense, because the Germans took over France in the 30s, but I guess it maybe happened later than I think it did.
Insert date here.
Yeah.
History. It doesn't matter because he is an explorer archaeologist too, who walks down a more shady path than Indiana Jones, because Indiana Jones, he finds all this stuff, maybe punches and kills a few people on the way, but he takes it to the museum and sells it to them.
Yeah.
Belloc sells it to the highest bidder, in this case, Nazis.
Right.
Fucking Nazis.
It's so funny. This is kind of, and I'm sure there are other things, but this really made me think of like the Uncharted games.
What do you think Uncharted's ripping off?
I know. I'm just like, oh, yeah, this is like Uncharted.
No, Uncharted is just Indiana Jones.
I know, it's just Indiana Jones.
And so is Tomb Raider.
Yeah. You remember when they called it Uncharted Deuterator? I miss those days.
Tomb Raider was girl Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's all fine, so long as the quality is good.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
This movie is very action-packed.
Especially towards the end.
Yeah, there are so many scenes that are just straight up like action. This definitely made me think of like, oh yeah, Steven Spielberg, blockbuster. That's what this is. Like old school blockbuster.
Dude, this was when Spielberg was still in his prime. Like just Jaws, Indiana Jones, Close Encounters, more Indiana Jones after this. Yeah. Jurassic Park at the tail end of the early 90s. Like he was just hit after hit after hit at this point. He was just like on fucking fire, which makes it even crazy that the Broccolis were like, maybe we. It's like, why didn't you let him make? Fuck it, just let him. Yeah, should have just let him do it.
Seriously.
He's Steven Spielberg.
Would have made a kick-ass James Bond movie.
It would have been amazing, I bet.
Yeah. Probably would have been the best one.
It probably could have been.
Yeah. So crazy.
Fools.
Yeah.
Stupid fools.
I don't know. Like, there's so many scenes in this movie that are so iconic that it's hard to talk about each one.
I mean, one of the most famous ones is the fight by the plane.
Yeah.
They're making their big, just like, chase for the Ark. He's got to fight the giant guy, which is just a tradition in all the movies after this.
You know, one scene that's really iconic, and it happened a lot earlier in the movie, the scene with the guy with the sword.
Yes.
I was, like, surprised how early that happened in the movie. I was like, whoa, that happens already?
Yeah. It's crazy is that scene almost was completely different.
Yeah.
Because when they made this movie, almost everybody got sick, Harrison Ford included, and they had this much more elaborate fight plan between. It was a sword versus bullwhip fight, and then Harrison Ford just like, oh God, I just can't. I would just in real life I would just shoot this guy. Can we just do that? And they're like, yeah.
It's so good. It's because the guy like has his sword. Granted, his sword moves are not as like elaborate as I thought they would be, but like he takes out the sword and he's all like haha, and then he just like boom, and then just like goes back to normal. It's so good. It's so famous now.
Absolutely.
Some of the other things that are very famous in this movie, the thing with like the snakes being in the temple with the Ark of the Covenant. It's like snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Comes face to face with a real cobra.
Yeah.
Only, I think there's like a pane of glass in between them.
Yeah. Another thing in this movie too that is something I wasn't expecting is because I'm very unfamiliar with this movie, the like fake out death of like Marion at the beginning. I was like, holy crap, wait, she dies? And I'm like, maybe that was a different lady in the other movie. And
they got you.
Yeah, I literally thought she was dead. And it takes a while before you find out she's alive again. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, because you don't find out until Indiana Jones finds out. There's no like cut to her being like taken away by the Nazis.
Yeah.
It's just Indiana Jones walks, holy shit, you're alive.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, she's dead? And I was like, I could have swore she was the lady in the other movie. But I'm like, maybe it was a different lady. I mean, there are 2 other movies after this one. But I was like, man, that's like hardcore. But yeah, then she turns out to be alive. It's kind of funny when he finds out. He's like, oh, thank God you're alive. I gotta keep you here though, because
if they find you missing, they're gonna look for you, and they'll find me.
Yeah, he's kind of a scoundrel.
Wrong Harrison Ford character, but actually also not really that different.
Kind of similar.
You know, it's funny. This is the second character in a row like George Lucas did not want to cast Harrison Ford as, because he had worked with Harrison Ford in that movie American Graffiti. Didn't want to use him for Star Wars. Didn't want to always keep going back to the well. But Harrison Ford was helping out with readings and the auditions, and they're like, fuck, he'd be the perfect Han Solo. Okay, you're Han Solo. And then when it came time for Indiana Jones, it's like, should we get Harrison Ford? No, I'm not doing Harrison Ford again. I'm not being pigeonholed to Harrison Ford. We're getting Tom Selleck with his mustache and everything. Oh crap, he can't because of TV commitments. Fuck it, get Harrison Ford.
That's so weird, because like nowadays, you know, some directors, they always kind of end up working with like the same people because they work well together. Like Christopher Nolan, a lot of his movies have kind of the same people in it.
Yeah, I mean, not always is the main character.
Yeah,
though.
But like, you know, sometimes it's always like, oh yeah, Michael Caine.
Well, Christopher Nolan considers Michael Caine his good luck charm.
Yeah. He's always in some of his movies. Some other people I can't think of off the top of my head, but he's kind of have his like familiars, you know?
Yeah, most directors do.
Yeah. But it's kind of weird because it's like, why wouldn't you get Harrison Ford? He's great.
And he was great.
Yeah. So weird.
George Lucas multiple times had to just be like begrudgingly, fine, I'll cast the very charismatic and charming younger Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the landscape was at this time, but I can only assume it's like, fine, I'll cast the most popular actor in Hollywood at the moment.
I'm sure he was up there.
Yeah.
Especially post Star Wars.
Yeah.
He had to have been pretty in demand.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, this is definitely the role that helped really catapult him, because like, yeah, Han Solo, that's one big role, but then you get Indiana Jones, that's two.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
How many people get to be two iconic film characters? Yeah. You usually get one, and then you get typecast forever.
I can't think of anybody that is like that, where he's like Han Solo and Indiana Jones.
Like that are like pretty equal in terms of like notoriety.
Yeah.
And that's why people know Harrison Ford. Not everybody necessarily knows Tobey Maguire outside of Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man.
Because, you know, this is one guy. He's played Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to really think of anybody else that has like a dual like iconic role like that.
I can't think
I'm sure there might be somebody, but
I mean, maybe like your Sam Jackson, but he's kind of an icon in of himself.
I mean, yeah, he's like famous character actor Sam Jackson.
People just know Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
He might not. He's like, yeah, he was in the Stars. He played that, I don't know, the window guy.
Window guy. Oh, wow.
I know the actual name, but I'm general audience man might not.
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, back to the movie, I guess.
John Williams, one of the best, probably the best ever, freaking making another iconic theme with the Indiana Jones theme.
Yeah. His scores for movies, especially in this era, sound like very different. Like, I don't know, the music is like so in tune with like a lot of the action, like with like that car chase and the guy crawling all over the car and stuff. It's like the music is so perfectly timed with all that stuff. You don't really see that as often anymore. I think you do still see it, but
yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that. A lot of modern film scores, they end up being so generic because so many directors apparently, and I've read this from like coming from composers, that they like put in like temp music and then they get so like, can you make it like this? Just make it sound a little like this.
Yeah.
So rather than a composer coming in and like doing a thing, they're just like mimicking a thing, and that's why it just, some of these scores just don't sound very good.
Yeah, I would say like the music matches with the action in a way that you don't see as much in movies, at least a lot of the movies I've seen lately.
Yeah.
And I can see maybe some people might think it's kind of silly, but I think it's kind of cool still, like how the music is going with like the action and everything. I mean, it definitely is super noticeable.
I feel like the music should flow with the action. It'd be weird if it was disconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we got the iconic Indiana Jones theme that kind of plays at different moments than I originally thought. Like when he's running away from like the boulder, it doesn't really like play like that part, but then it plays like kind of after it. And I was like, I thought they played it as he was running away from the boulder, but it's like after. It's when he's escaping on the plane.
Yeah, that's only in the parodies because you know they just blend things together.
Yeah, that scene too where like there's like guy waiting for him on the like seaplane and he's like fishing and he's just like start the plane and he's being chased by all like the natives. It's like I've seen that parodied so many times. Yeah, some of the other things too that I didn't realize were from this movie, the thing with at the very end where the guy's like, we've got top men on it. Who? Top men. And I was like, oh, that's what that's from.
Yeah. Shamelessly ripped off in things like Family Guy and whatnot. And of course, the famous warehouse shot at the end, which is later revealed to be Area 51.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because it's like the United States government gets the Ark of the Covenant and they're like smart enough to be like, we're never going to use this ever. Just lock it away somewhere and throw away the key.
Too dangerous.
Yeah.
To be fair, probably the right call.
Yeah. Definitely the right call.
So if somebody opens this, a lot of people are going to die.
Yeah. It's also like that huge warehouse. It's like, what else is in there?
Well, eventually aliens, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of crates in there.
There is a lot of crates.
Man.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, have you ever heard, because I've seen this brought up a lot, got brought up in that fucking Big Bang Theory show where a lot of people go like, Indiana Jones has no effect on the plot of this movie. And that everything that transpired would have happened regardless of his presence. It's like the Nazis would have eventually found the Ark and they'd go with the thing and then they would open it up and then they all die. I have to call shenanigans on that.
Yeah, I too.
Because they're completely ignoring the fact that the only reason the Nazis find the Ark is because they have to have the medallion thing, which they only get because they follow Indiana Jones to Marion.
Yeah.
If he doesn't go to her, they don't find her. Because he knows where she is. They don't. Because we see the guy following Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like, you're just literally ignoring the movie in order to make nerds get mad on Twitter by saying that stupid shit. And it's bullshit.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
It's utter bullshit.
Plus, I mean, that guy never would have got the medallion burned on his hand or anything, too. And
yeah, he wouldn't have ever found it.
Yeah.
They would have been like, we can't find it. We're out of luck. What's his face? The guy, her dad's dead, and we don't know where she is. Does she have it? We can't find her.
Yeah. That's a weird point. I've never heard that be brought up before.
I've seen people bring it up, and they're usually regurgitating Big Bang Theory. And I've always argued, I'm like, no. Did anyone that made that claim even watch the movie?
Yeah, that's kind of weird because he does nothing but affect the movie. I mean, half the time it's like they have to change their plans because like he screwed up what they were doing.
I know. It's nonsense. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just people not thinking about the whole movie. They're just thinking about like, well, you know, the Nazis were going to die no matter what if they got the Ark. Yeah, if they got the Ark.
Yeah.
But they only get the Ark if Indiana Jones is there.
It's true.
I mean, he's also the one that finds it.
Yeah.
They didn't find it. But they also only find the medallion because they follow him. If Indiana Jones told those government guys, like, I don't know, I'm going on vacation with that girl that said love you in the eyes. She's like 22. It's fine. It's the 30s. Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing with like college professors sleeping with their students.
Oh, it's very
I know it
wrong.
happens in real life, but it always seems kind of weird.
It's unethical.
Yeah.
It's very unethical.
But
and kind of creepy because of the age thing.
Yeah, really creepy. Anywho, yeah, there's some other things in this movie that like I like to mention, but I can't remember the character's name, but his like Egyptian friend.
Oh, Salah.
Salah.
I love that guy. He's
that
great.
guy's awesome.
Yeah, I love that he's in the third movie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I can't wait to see that then.
Absolutely. Because I saw the third movie more before I saw the first one. I was like, oh, cool, Sal's in this one too. That's great.
Yeah.
Because like that's like I know that he's Indiana Jones' friend. So there's never like any kind of moment I'm like, well, I know he's never going to betray Indiana Jones because they're friends in the third movie still.
That guy, whoever the actor is, man,
John Rice Davies, I think is the name.
Such a booming voice.
Oh, he's got a great voice.
That scene where they're, leaving, Egypt or whatever after the Nazis get the Ark and they're going after them, or
no, they got
the Ark.
Yeah, and they're sneaking away on a boat.
And Miriam gives Saul like the kiss on the lips, and then he just sings that song. I was just like, man, that guy's got a great voice.
Yeah, most people probably know him these days. He was in the Lord of the Rings movies. He was that Gimli, the dwarf guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Some people might also remember, I was going to say, the voice of Aladdin's dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In King of Thieves?
Yeah, that's him.
Whoa.
He's got that great voice, man.
Yeah, seriously. Gotta watch that movie again.
Yeah. I know they tried to get him to have like a cameo at the end of part 4, but it was total like George Lucas shenanigans where it was just like, yeah, we'll just sit you in front of a green screen and we'll just put you in the thing. He's like, no. So just have him in the scene. Come on, how do you not want him running up to them after the wedding, give him like a big old bear hug, be like, oh, finally.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this day for decades. Come on, man.
Man, maybe I would have liked that movie a little bit more.
I was disappointed he wasn't at the wedding.
Yeah.
I was disappointed both him and Short Round weren't at the wedding.
Yeah, Short Round is a character I have no exposure to, since I've never seen the sequel, but I'm sure I'll see it soon.
Eventually. Not too distant future, I suppose.
Yeah.
There is a 5th one coming.
Yeah, there is, huh?
Allegedly.
Feel like, why?
It's weird that it's not being made by Spielberg. Guess he was supposed to, but now he's not.
Yeah, he got busy with other things, I guess.
I guess he was just like, I guess he too was also like, you know what? I also don't want to direct a movie for Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
I'm Steven Spielberg. I don't need this shit.
Yeah.
But also, he has always got so many plates spinning. He's always got a pile of projects. Like, remember that he made that Lincoln movie?
Yeah.
That was on like his like pile for years before he got around to it.
Huh. Interesting.
And I know he always wanted to do a musical, and he just finally did that.
Which I hear is very good.
I'm sure. I don't care. I hate musicals. It's a personal thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I guess like the end of the movie with, the Ark of the Covenant being opened and it just annihilates everybody.
Those so graphic.
I was like, holy crap. I was just like, it was like one of like, besides all like the blood in this movie that like shocked me. I was like, man, this movie is really violent. And then you told me, well, there's a reason why, like, it's like, you're not wrong, this movie's being violent because it led to the rating system being updated.
The sequel, Temple of Doom, was one of 2 movies that led to PG-13.
Yeah. Because I was like, thinking to myself, well, this is like a kid-friendly movie, right? And then I'm like, this is definitely not a kid-friendly movie yet. Lego Indiana Jones. Huh.
Hey, kids loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids love violence.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
People used to be less sensitive about showcasing melting Nazi faces to their children.
Yeah, when I was little, I used to love RoboCop. I don't know how I saw RoboCop as like a child in 2nd grade.
To be fair, you probably saw it the same way I did.
Yeah.
On Saturday morning, WB.
Yeah.
Edited for television.
But I loved RoboCop as a little 2nd grade kid.
I mean, they also marketed a lot of toys to children from that movie.
That's true.
Could you imagine, like, back when, like, I'm trying to think of, like, a good example, like, if they made John Wick toys for kids?
Yeah.
That's the equivalent. If there was, like, a John Wick Saturday morning cartoon, and he's just going around just fighting people with his dog sidekick.
I want to see that cartoon now. That sounds awesome. They should do that.
Oh, no.
Somebody get on that. Make a John Wick kids cartoon. So good.
Maybe in 1989 they would have done that.
That would have been awesome.
Oh, man. He would have had, like, his car would have been all souped up. He'd, like, push buttons and, like, it would do things.
Yeah.
He'd have a pencil, but it'd be like a gadget.
The dog would like sort of talk, but not really talk, like Scooby-Doo.
Oh, God. But he would definitely have a dog. 100% have a dog sidekick.
Like Winston would be giving him missions on like a TV on like the car screen. And then like every episode would begin like the same way, like something stupid where he has to put like one of the coins into something and then like he get his like mission.
Yes.
Oh man, it writes itself.
Oh man, would he have a kid sidekick too? Would they shoehorn that in?
Oh man, well, I don't know. He's got the dog, but yeah, they probably would think of some way of like fitting a kid sidekick with John Wick.
Maybe like a teenager that he has to train.
Yeah. Well, maybe the mute girl from the second one doesn't get killed and becomes good in the cartoon because she kind of looked young.
Mute girl?
Yeah, Ruby Rose was like a mute girl in the second one.
She didn't look young. She looked like a 30-something-year-old woman.
Well, whatever. That's young back then.
I guess technically, in you know what, in the 80s, if you were a 30-year-old woman, you were playing a 19-year-old.
Yeah. Whatever. It's been a while, but we are way off topic now.
Sure. Where's the 1980s Indiana Jones cartoon?
Well, they had like a series.
Yeah, but that wasn't in the 80s, and it wasn't a cartoon. It was edutainment.
Oh, man. Edutainment.
At least, especially the kid episodes. I tried watching a few of those. Didn't like the kid episodes. Didn't mind the ones where he was older.
And then there's episodes where he's like super old.
No, because originally every episode was bookended by old Indiana Jones telling stories to people. And he was predominantly an old man with an eye patch. And then there's one episode where it's Harrison Ford and he's got his beard from The Fugitive because he was making The Fugitive at the time. And he wasn't going to shave off his beard because he was making The Fugitive.
Interesting.
And unfortunately, George Lucas, being George Lucas, snip, 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 all current versions, I believe, have completely eliminated old Indiana Jones except for Harrison Ford, because why would you do that?
Huh.
So eye patch Indiana Jones is, I guess, not canon, which means...
Aw, that sounds badass.
Yeah, I guess that means he's going to die in the 5th movie.
Oh, no.
Or lose an eye.
Yeah, which means that old Indiana Jones at the end of the old Indiana at that show was super old Indiana Jones when he lost his eye.
Sure. It's like, this takes place 10 years after part 5.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones, and at the end of the show, he's 107 years old.
I think he might have been running around in the 90s, so...
Okay.
I guess. You must have been up there. I don't know. I think I maybe saw a clip once on YouTube, but the quality's pretty bad because, you know, all the good quality is just, it's just cut out.
It's gone. Now and forever.
Because George Lucas can't stop changing things.
Yeah, I guess so.
Except these movies.
Yeah.
They didn't change these.
Yeah, and they're great movies. You have anything else to say about the Indiana Jones movie, Raiders in the Lost Ark?
Of the Lost Ark.
Of the Lost Ark. Sorry.
I mean, it was a homage and tribute to so many movie serials and old movies of the past, and it influenced so many other things going forward. You know, we mentioned Uncharted and Tomb Raider, and even in the movies, the Mummy series.
Yeah, which is like...
Very Indiana Jones.
I feel like it's like, that could fit into the Indiana Jones world. It's like the prequel to Indiana Jones.
Kind of at the... Isn't it kind of around the same time?
I thought... You know what? Yeah, maybe you're right.
Unless it's like in the 20s.
I thought it was like in the 1800s for some reason.
No, I think it's... At most, it's in like the 20s.
I guess you're right. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I don't know why.
There's cars and stuff, man.
I think there were cars in the 1800s, though.
Yeah, but it was like a bus.
Yeah, I guess
like
you're
a British
right.
bus, like an old-timey bus, but a bus nonetheless.
Yeah.
And they had cars, but it was like, I get...
My automobile.
I'm on an automobile. Look how slow I can drive.
Yeah. Yeah, I it's been a long time. I don't know why I thought they were in the 1800s.
No,
but
they're not.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the time of like the big like boom of archaeologists digging up Egypt.
Right. Stealing other countries' cultural artifacts.
I don't think it's stealing if the probably corrupt government lets you do it.
I mean, fair is fair. That's the conditions back then. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it was. What it was. Can't do anything about it.
It happened.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Yeah. But yeah, Indiana Jones. It's a good movie.
Definitely.
Go watch it.
Absolutely.
What are you doing?
I don't know. What are you doing?
That's a good question.
Hey, I paid for this hat. It's gonna get featured somehow. It's taking longer than I thought it would.